those outcomes are not accomplished by the stem cell. The stem cell is not reducing inflammation or controlling cellular growth or clearing away cellular debris and scar tissue. It's not growing into new blood vessels. The stem cell doesn't transform into something in the patient recipient's body in order to accomplish an end. The patient's own body is the powerhouse that accomplishes regenerative medicine. So you're the hero in your own story of healing when it comes to stem cell therapy.
You are going to absolutely love today's episode of the Utah Business Spotlight. I am with a friend, Chuck Meeker, and he is killing it with Hyagen Medical. He is the founder, he is the president, and he is the biggest supporter of why you should use stem cells, how his company gets the right products to the right clinicians around the world, and how he's creating an integration where people can share their information in real time so that everybody starts to rise at the same time. Chuck, man, thank you for taking the time. Brother, what you're doing is killing it. Tell us a little bit more about how did you get into stem cells?
Well, first, it's an honor to be here. Thanks so much for having me. Very kind introduction. The stem cell industry has been around for a long time, but it's had its ups and downs.
Sure.
And then in mid-2024, the Utah State Legislature passed a law permitting stem cell providers to perform therapies even though they're not yet FDA approved. Kind of a safe harbor for clinical providers to perform stem cell therapy in Utah.
Because I had heard that for a long time, people would go out of country to get stem cells.
Yeah, it's still happening a lot of the time too. It's based on mostly a misunderstanding of two key features. Number one, there's a misunderstanding that stem cells are illegal in the United States unless a state allows you to do them. That's not true. There's a legal compliance pathway for stem cells here in the US, even under FDA guidelines.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the second feature that's commonly misunderstood is that stem cells in the US are inferior to the stem cells that you could get out of the country, so that you could get superior products out of the country. And that's just not true either.
That's just bananas to me. How in the world would we have a healthcare system, and I've gotten to live in South America. I've gotten to live in two different parts of Europe, and all of my European and South American friends come here to get all their medical stuff. My Canadian friends come here. I mean, our healthcare system, I think, is probably looked at outside of the U.S. as one of the better ones. Would you not say that that's true?
Yeah, in many ways, our healthcare system supports cutting edge technologies. In some ways, those can be stifled because of pressure placed on
the FDA or from the FDA.
Sure, that's right. And so what we hope that people will understand is the beauty of working with the US healthcare system is regulations and transparency that give confidence to both patient and healthcare provider.
I love that. So what would somebody, what is the attraction to stem cell therapy?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a lot of misinformation going on in the world about what stem cells do, how they function, and what type of candidates are perfect for stem cell therapy. We try and get some basic truths out to people, whether it's healthcare providers who want to perform stem cell therapy or patients who want to receive stem cell therapy. We want these key features to be understood. First and foremost, when we talk about stem cell therapy in the US, we're talking about birth tissue derived stem cells. These are the umbilical cord and the associated placental tissues after a live, healthy birth. So we're not talking about embryonic stem cells taken from aborted fetuses at fertility banks.
Big difference.
Huge difference.
Right?
I
I think ethically and morally, for many people, that would be a huge difference. For some, perhaps it doesn't matter, but for me, it would matter. I think for my audience, it would matter.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And so what we're talking about is totally bioethical, volunteer, consenting donor mothers who have decided much like an organ donor on a driver's license card, to donate their umbilical cord so that the bioactive stem cells can be purified out of them and used for therapeutic purposes.
Which is great.
Which is great, right? It's giving. There's no, the U.S. Healthcare system has obviated the risk of human trafficking, birth farm concerns by forbidding the compensation of donor mothers. It is truly an act of love and charity to donate birth tissue in order for the stem cells to be used for research and therapeutic purposes.
And you were going to throw it out anyway.
And you would throw it out or have
like I got to cut the umbilical cord of my children.
But then where did it go?
I have no idea. Yeah. And I certainly wouldn't have wanted to save it. It would have been weird, you know. So I think that's super cool. So they get you're able to harvest the initial protocols necessary to build stem cells ethically, which I love. Then what do you do with them? Like, why should I be interested in stem cells? Like, now it's cool that we're getting them in an ethical and cool and really wonderful way, but why would I want a stem cell?
Yeah, great question. So we'll get back to the protocols for deriving the stem cells later, but for now, let's jump to the end. Why would someone want to use a stem cell therapeutically? Well, they would want to use it therapeutically for the same purpose that it was being used biologically. So in the womb, these are the stem cells that travel from the placenta through the umbilical cord blood and circulate through the baby, the fetus's growing system. And their function biologically is a carrier vehicle. They're like UPS trucks. They bring and deliver to the baby's growing body a large portfolio of natural, biological, human factors, things like growth factors and cytokines and chemokines that help the baby's body grow by activating molecular pathways in the human system.
I know. You've just broken it down in a way that I've never heard it. I love it. I love it. So what's happening is because and if you think about it, you know, from concept to completion, right? From concept, the two little cells get together, you know, a sperm and an egg, and then 9 months later, you have a functioning human being that can live outside of the womb, and that happens very quickly. And what you're saying is these stem cells are in charge of activating all of the necessary protocols to grow that entity very quickly.
Yeah, beautiful explanation. I love that. So as a single-celled zygote becomes a blastocyst and then grows, you have cells dividing over and over and over again in the womb.
Sure.
So that cellular division actually ends up being pretty violent at a cellular level.
Yeah, you would imagine, right?
It creates a lot of cellular debris and it brings in inflammatory factors, which causes inflammation. There's not enough blood flow to feed the system. And so the cells just end up wanting to turn off.
And it's working overtime nonstop to develop each one of these organs properly. That's incredible. I never, ever really put the correlation together. So by reintroducing components of these stem cells into a grown human being, you can go backwards and start to fix or bring the necessary tools to reduce inflammations, to repair cartilages. What can it do?
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like it could do a lot.
Yeah, very good. So and just to be accurate, those outcomes are not accomplished by the stem cell. The stem cell is not reducing inflammation or controlling cellular growth or clearing away cellular debris and scar tissue. It's not growing into new blood vessels. The stem cell doesn't transform into something in the patient recipient's body in order to accomplish an end. The patient's own body is the powerhouse that accomplishes regenerative medicine. So you're the hero in your own story of healing when it comes to stem cell therapy. all we need to do is activate your body's natural regenerative healing processes. And the way we do that is by delivering stem cells that are full of the growth factors and cytokines that bind to, interact with your own cell receptors and turn on the mechanisms or pathways in your own body already that are prepared to heal and recover.
So the stem cells are regulating what my body is doing, or adding something, allowing my body to do what it naturally is designed to do.
So rather than the stem cell doing that, the contents inside the stem cell are capable of doing that. Remember what we call the stem cell? Mm-hmm. It's just a delivery vehicle. It's just a transport vessel for getting those natural biological factors into your body.
I want some more natural biological factors.
I do too.
What is going on? Well, you have plenty of natural biological factors. You're gorgeous. I want to be like him. Somebody help me. I need stem cells. I'm teasing. But I think that the little bit of research that I've done on stem cells, I do think that they are part of the future of medical protocols. What are your thoughts?
I agree. I think there is a whole nother side of the stem cell industry that's involved in cellular or tissue engineering. Mm-hmm. This is where they take stem cells and they manipulate them in a way that allows them to grow into other tissue forms, cellular forms, right? Mm-hmm. In fact, the word stem cell denotes its stem or source functionality. It is the source of other cell types in the body, the stem of other cell types. And so there's a whole nother industry that's focused on, can we take a stem cell and cause it to become, for example, a pancreatic islet cell that produces insulin? So now what can you do with that? You can transplant those new engineered cells into the pancreas of a type 1 diabetic, and it will produce insulin in a type 1 diabetic. There's a study that came out of the UK last year. Yeah. Astounding stuff, right? That's one side of the stem cell industry. The other side, which is what we're talking about today, is stem cell therapy, using these stem cells therapeutically for their contents, their human growth factors and cytokines that turn on our body's own systems.
Super, super cool information. Now, share with us, your company actually helps become the bridge for the people who want to distribute to the consumer. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's right. So we found that far and wide, healthcare providers put their patients first.
Which they should.
But nobody's putting the healthcare provider first. There's nobody there that's supporting a healthcare provider in all of the things that she or he needs in order to roll out stem cell therapy. A lot of these clinicians are so busy that they don't have the time or the resources to vet out proper sourced products and quality processed stem cell products. They don't have the time or the resources to put together legal and regulatory compliance documents and protocols. And
sure.
So we came in not because we were hyper focused on every person in the world receiving stem cell therapy, but because we wanted healthcare providers who desired to implement stem cell therapy in their practice to be able to do that in a turnkey fashion. So we're a one-stop shop. Hyagen Medical is a one-stop shop for a clinician to be able to implement stem cell therapy in their practice.
So you can help them source it, and you can also give them the guidance and consultation to find what's necessary for their specific use cases.
That's right. I guess I should have started by saying I'm a practicing attorney here in Salt Lake City. That's my day job. I've been a partner at the law firm of Workman Neidiger for about 13 years. Sorry, a partner for less than that, but at the law firm for about 13 years. And my background is in molecular biology and biochemistry. So I have a PhD in cancer biology.
Wow. So you're like a Superman, and then you're like a genius on top of that. I hate you more.
Far from it. Far from it.
That's so cool, though.
But it gives me the ability to see things from a legal and regulatory perspective and to study the laws and regulations and break them down in a way that makes them easier to follow.
Sure. And the granular understanding of the complexity of both sides of the issues really makes you different in the marketplace for anybody who's sourcing you to create those relationships in a really sustainable way. I love it.
We think that's right. The feedback that we're getting and the enthusiasm about what we're offering tends to support that as well.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's great. Having been in the med spa business in all seriousness now, I've been playful a bit, but having been in the med spa business for about 25 years, I could tell you that people get in because they might have the money to invest in it and they think it's moving forward, but they don't know how to put together the right series of protocols for their particular marketplace. They don't know how necessarily to use some of the things that they're buying in a way that's going to really be sustainable in their culture and in the marketplace simultaneously. And I watch good people invest large sums of money and not get a return, but very often lose money because they didn't seek the right counsel initially.
Yeah. And it wasn't because it was a bad investment. It wasn't because the
not at all.
location was bad or the business plan was bad. They just didn't have the resources they needed at the right time, the right people and the right
And that
protocols.
syntax is ridiculously important in business. I always tell every business owner, you need three key components when you're building your business. The first component you always need, the first thing to find is the right attorney for whatever business model you're going after.
Sad but true.
Sad but true. But I don't necessarily think it's sad because I think that creating the infrastructure is the key component. Then the next person that you need is a fantastic accountant, which we would say is like, okay, cool. Now I have this incredible base of infrastructure. I know what I'm allowed to do. I know how to do it. I know how to protect myself. I know how to protect my clients. I know how to organize. Right. And then the third thing would be marketing. It's like, how do I position that to the marketplace, the value proposition I'm about to make? Now I know I can make that value proposition. I know that it's going to be profitable. Now, how do I position that to the marketplace? And some people start with this idea or solution, and then when they get in trouble, they seek the attorney, or when they get in trouble, they seek the tax expert, or when they get in trouble, they should have been marketing, but weren't properly marketing.
So proper marketing is a really great topic as well. We find more FDA warning letters being sent out for bad marketing of stem cell products than for use of bad products. Because stem cells are not classified as drug products in this particular industry, they cannot be approved drugs. They're not FDA approved drugs. Instead, they're classified as human cells or tissues or cellular and tissue-based products, which we call HCTPs, human cellular and tissue-based products. And there's a whole separate regulatory pathway for these HCTPs at the FDA that doesn't involve or require pre-market approval if they're sourced properly and tracked and traced properly, processed in FDA registered labs, distributed by FDA registered distributors.
So on a piece of marketing, you would position that this is sourced through an FDA approved lab and an FDA approved distribution, but you wouldn't say it's an FDA approved product.
Sure. And we usually use registered instead of approved for the lab, the processing lab, as well as distribution. So FDA registration and product listing is required rather than FDA approval. But then you also can't make the same type of claims about product outcomes and disease treatments that you can with approved drugs. We saw this in the supplement industry, all the soft language. These claims have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to cure or treat disease. So those soft statements, those don't give you safe harbor when it comes to stem cells. You just have to avoid using non-compliant language in your marketing. So for example, if you say, stem cells can be used to treat shoulder pain, you've just made a drug claim about what stem cells can do. Do people who get a stem cell shot in their shoulder often experience pain relief? Yes, but you can't say you're using stem cells to treat shoulder pain because that is something the FDA reserves for drug products. That's right. What you can say is that stem cells carry and deliver natural human growth factors and cytokines, which have been shown to be involved in binding your body's own cell receptors and activating pathways involved in pain reduction and swelling, inflammation control and natural healing and regeneration. You haven't made a claim about what the stem cell does. You've simply described the stem cell for what it is, a carrier vehicle for natural biomolecules. And then you've spoken to the molecular biology of what biomolecules are known to do in the body, but you've never made any claim about what stem cell therapy accomplishes for a patient.
And I love that. I see people in marketing also, on the antithesis is here's the product that you're marketing and here's the outcome. But then I also see we saw about 5 years ago, a lot of people were getting into the med spa industry, and we're working with stem cells and IVs as a way to create some sort of a business model and making all these claims. And we see it with money, oh, if you do this, you're going to, the average and then they're expressing this idea that if you use this product, you'll be a millionaire. And it's a tough one because the products don't make you a millionaire, or the use of something. I mean, in what you're saying is these products have been seen, and this is how this product is used. This is what this product specifically does. And in some cases, it might reduce pain. But you can't ever say the reduction of pain because that's connected to the FDA and a drug.
Yeah, and in particular, you don't want to tie stem cells or stem cell use to disease states or medical conditions.
Even though everybody tries.
Even though they try to do that, and they try to walk the line using the soft, fuzzy language that you use in the supplements industry, supports gut health. So they say stem cells will support your body's natural healing capacity. That's a violation of the FD&C Act because you've made a claim that stem cells will affect the function of the body.
Ooh, so they don't even know it.
They don't even know it. So, I mean, you talked about how the healthcare industry can be a lucrative industry and people can make money performing stem cell therapy. I don't deny that, but do you know how much money you can lose if you do this wrong?
Oh, you can lose your entire fortune.
That's right. You can be fighting legal battles for years. You can have your business shut down. And so half of what Hyagen Medical does is provide compliance guidance to protect healthcare providers from running into the difficulties.
I love that.
Only simply having these resources and procedures in place reduces your risks substantially. It keeps a target off of your back. And if you're ever, if you're ever visited by the FDA and you have these protocols and procedures in place, if something did go wrong, it's an isolated instance and a warning is all you get. They're not shutting down your business and fining you and sending you to jail. So we provide, a sense of safety and.
So if I were to open a medical spa, would I be calling you?
I hope so. I would love to help you with your next med spa effort. Med spas are a great place to roll out stem cell therapy because the growth factors and cytokines found in stem cells are known to activate the body's ability to accomplish many of the things you're trying to accomplish in a med spa. Hair restoration, for example, is often a function of blood flow and reducing cellular debris and inflammation in the scalp. Well, guess what the growth factors and cytokines found in stem cell participate in? Cellular activity that supports healthy vasculature and clears away cellular debris and reduces inflammation.
That's awesome, man. That's super, super cool. So if you have a med spa and you're looking to find the real level of guidance necessary to grow your particular business, you're going to seek these guys out. They're the top of the game. They not only look good, they perform like gangsters in this industry. And you always want that consigliere by your side, because it could get really messy if you don't have the right person advising you as you walk through some of the things that we ultimately have to do. If you have a business, you have to market. Marketing ethically and properly is the key to success.
Agreed.
And being able to avoid being spanked by the government, even if your intention was not to be. I didn't intend to do 80 miles an hour. I was just keeping up with the traffic, but it's still a 60-mile-an-hour zone. I'm still going to get a ticket. So I love what you guys are doing and how you're doing it in this industry. You're just bringing incredible. I mean, you just gave us a complete class on stem cells. It was awesome.
Oh, there's a lot more to come.
I know, and now I want to learn more and more and more. We're going to have you on again.
I'd love to come back.
I'd love to do just a show about the where we can bring in things and talk more about the stem cell and what it does and how it does it, because I think that level of education softens and dilutes the barrier of entry, because the human being is filled with fear when something is presented to them in an uncertain way, and it's tied to what has been deemed unethical. You just introduced to us that it's completely ethical. It's being sourced in a completely beautiful and loving way, and how it does what it does. Like, I love the little UPS theory, right? It's a UPS truck that's delivering all the cool stuff, and I want the cool stuff. I love it. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
My pleasure. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. If you could tell, you've just done so many things from business-wise. Here's just a quick piece of business advice. You have a PhD, you have a law degree, you are a practicing attorney, you have a medical company. If someone wanted to start out, if a young person's like saying start out, what's the first piece of advice you give that young person?
So remember, I fell into this. This was not the plan from the beginning. What I was doing all along was pursuing a passion. I was first passionate about the treatment and cure of cancer. My mother was born a Huntsman, and so I wanted to study cancer biology at the Huntsman Cancer Institute at the University of Utah School of Medicine. So I went down that track, and I spent 6 years there getting my doctorate. And it wasn't until then that I realized I wanted something that interacted more with just a research bench. I wanted something that interacted with people. But I hadn't gone to medical school to be a practicing doctor. So instead I went to law school to be a practicing attorney and help healthcare adjacent companies receive the legal guidance and support that they need in order to do what they do well.
So it seems like the answer to the question would be, you found a particular passion, and then as you isolated that passion, you saw the opportunities in the marketplace.
Exactly.
And then you continued to pursue them. So just to dilute it a little bit, the simplified answer would be not just to follow your passions, but to follow the opportunities.
That's right.
Within your passion.
That's right. Follow your passion and keep your eyes open, because new opportunities that help you use your passion to help other people are all around you.
I love that. Thank you so much for being on the Utah Business Spotlight. Hey guys, you need to share, you need to like, you need to subscribe. You need to take this to the next level. This information is absolutely life-changing for the right people. So share us, like us, comment, and thank you. And we are so blessed. Have a great March.